So California, it is a big, big state, and there is a plan being floated by Timothy Draper, who is a venture capitalist, and he's invested in a ton of things like Twitter, Hotmail, Skype, and Tesla. And he wants to split California into 6 different states. That's right. Let's look at the states he's proposed. Jefferson would include the northernmost portion. South California would be comprised of San Diego and eastern LA, while the rest of LA would be called West California. North California would be built around Sacramento. Central California would be made up of the Central Valley Farm region. Silicon Valley would include San Francisco, and Silicon Valley would become the nation's richest state just by dividing it up just like that. They'd probably like that. So I think this is kind of interesting because we have a huge country in the first place. You know what I mean? We got a lot of states, a lot of people with different interests. And California is huge. California could be a country many times over, and its economy is big enough for that. But do these ideas, are they just like pie in the sky, kind of like, this is never happening, right?
Completely pie in the sky.
Yeah.
But what's great is I'm sure he's heavily invested in Silicon Valley, and it's another great corridor where he gets to be all by himself in his like rich state, all by himself.
So that's what this is. He's investing in all these tech startups, and he's like, I want them to split off into their own states so then I can control the taxes. And,
exactly.
I've advocated this for a long time. I think that we should not only split up California, we should split up the country, go back to the Civil War, and let them win. You guys win. Yeah. You guys get to leave. All you guys, you guys get to leave.
I thought you meant let them take over the
North.
No. You just want them to let them secede.
They get to separate. So then we get to see what 2 countries would really be. They get to have their Republican utopia, and we get to have a regular country.
Yeah.
So they get to have a country where there's unregulated oil drilling and guns on everybody's hip and religion in every classroom.
And slaves.
And slaves. and we get to have science, healthcare, and all the other good, and a clean environment. So I'll take that. And by the way, I am for breaking up California. No joke.
Yeah.
Because we're unrepresented. We're underrepresented in the Congress, right? We only have 2 senators for California. You go to Wyoming, which has a state with a population less than my fucking neighborhood.
Yeah.
They also get 2 senators, right? So they are overrepresented, and that's what's wrong with that's a big problem. What's wrong with legislation in America? The minority viewpoint, which is the Republican viewpoint, way overrepresented in the Senate, way overrepresented, just like, and also in the Congress. Democrats got 1 million more votes than Republicans did, yet they're way minority in the Congress. So,
that's the beauty of redistricting, Jimmy. Every time you lose an election, you just redistrict it to get it back the next time, isn't it? So the Senate thing I think is kind of interesting because everyone gets 2, and that's part of the Constitution. But there's supposedly the House of Representatives then mitigates that because it is by population. But you're saying that's not even good.
That's not happening.
No. It's just not good enough.
No. I mean, if you look at the Senate, I mean, we need the Senate to come along with and so the people who represent no one get to have way more power than they ever should. So it's not one person, one vote. They get way more than one person, one vote in Wyoming or Montana or South Dakota, any of those states with small populaces, and they're all conservative, they're all run by corporations. They get way more voice in our government, which is why we have the situation we have. Americans, 90% want to get gun regulation. We all want single-payer health care. We all want to get out of Afghanistan and Iraq. None of that's happening because a bunch of guys in Wyoming don't want it to happen.
That's a direct shot at the Cheney family, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm telling you. It sounds funny, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Is this one of these things where not only is the country, like if you look at the map of the country where we're blue, we're blue around water basically, and then we're red in the middle.
Wherever you want to live, that's where you're blue. Wherever you don't want to live, that's the shitty red state part.
Yeah. It's kind of true.
Show me a place that's red you want to live. There's no fucking place that I want to live in a city.
You liberal elitist. Yes. That's what they're saying about you, Jimmy.
Texas,
you liberal.
Even in Texas, Houston goes Democrat and Austin goes in Democrat. So you go to the cities, which is where human beings are supposed to fucking live.
Yeah.
You start to think normally. You have universities, you start to progress, you have a progressive thought.
Right. Isn't that funny then during the elections when they're always like, oh, he's from the city, he's a liberal elitist, he went to college, he blah, blah. You know what I mean? As opposed to what do you want? Do you want some...
I want a man of the people who his hands are in the dirt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember I was watching Matt Lauer on Today's Show, and he was talking about how people, why is it people from rural places? They're from real America.
Right.
But he's doing his show in New York City. I guess you can't find a regular Joe anywhere, huh? In New York City, where's all the regular people?